Is your small business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. It's where we interview strategic entrepreneurs who inform and inspire you on your solopreneur or small company journey. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show. Hello and welcome to episode number 95 of the Grow Your Biz Show. I'm Paul Madsen, host of the program, and also the founder of growmedia.com. Kelli, growmedia.com helps businesses to grow by telling their unique story on social media video. This is Kelli, and we're going to learn her big story right after we thank our sponsor. ActionCoachOmaha.com is the global leader in business coaching for small businesses and businesses of all sizes. If you need to clarify your business and if you need to have some accountability in your business, contact Jim Barger at ActionCoachOmaha.com. Welcome back. This is Paul again with the Grow Your Biz Show, and I'm with Kelli Miller. Kelli, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So great to see you and meet you and learn more about your exciting businesses. Kelli is the psychic medium and the co-owner of Awakenings Retail Store, a new age metaphysical entity, right?
Correct.
Did I get all that out right?
You got it right.
Well,
you
good.
got it right.
Well, that's a lot on your plate at once, and a mother of three. You got lots going on.
Yep.
Well, great. Kelli, we're just going to jump right on in. Tell us, what business are you in?
I am here to provide grief relief for people that may have unanswered questions from their loved ones that have died.
Okay, so you are literally a medium.
Yes.
You're the go-between. That's
I
what
am.
medium means, right?
That's right.
Okay, well, excellent. There's a lot to that. Tell me exactly, you mean individually with somebody to do this?
Yep, I usually do individual readings, but I can also do live audience readings, so I can help groups of people at one time versus individual, so I can do both.
Okay, what if I came to you and I said, well, I'm having this issue, how do you specifically help someone? What do you do with and for them?
I help them to not only figure out where they're at in their life, but to be able to help determine what those next steps are with not only getting over somebody's grief or their own grief, but being able to take those steps forward in their own life to become more strong, independent people.
Okay, and that involves connection to the one who has passed on.
Correct.
Okay, and I guess, and we'll get into how you got started in this a little bit later, but someone goes to you and they have some unanswered questions. You mentioned unanswered questions. Give us an example of something like that.
So sometimes people don't understand if it's a purposeful suicide or if it was an accidental suicide, or if their mom, died of a heart attack or a stroke, and they didn't want to do an autopsy.
Right.
So, or they were trying to say something upon their death and they didn't get it out before they died, and they want to know what that was.
Wow.
So sometimes it even comes down to, what does my mom want me to do with her ashes? So it really depends on what they're seeking.
Interesting. Well, and all sorts, and is most. You have a dead-end business. Is most of your business involving those who have passed on, or are there other kinds of readings and guidance that you provide?
There really is. It really ranges depending on what the person is looking for. So I'm also a life coach outside of being a psychic and a medium.
Well, that gets us right into the next question. Tell us, if I look up at the old yellow pages, there's probably a lot of listings or Yelp or whatever for psychics and mediums and things like that. And a lot of people think they can or should do that. Why are you doing this, and what makes you different than the rest of the people?
Well, number one, I'm doing it to help other people.
Okay.
I really am. That's why I entered into this business in the first place. What makes me so unique, I think, is not only as a medium, just being unique, but I'm really good at telling them what their next step should be without any filter. I'm pretty normal like everybody else, but at the same time, I'm going to look at the difficult decisions that you need to make and help you to figure out what those next steps would be. So especially when it comes to fear-based stuff.
With regard to the one who's passed on, or
not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
There's a life coach you're talking about.
That's the life coach part.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, it all blends together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You said you're a listener, a medium, a life coach, and what else? I mean, in this process?
And also a psychic. So the psychic is also...
What's the difference between a psychic and a medium?
Good question. So a psychic is somebody that can tell you where you've been, where you're at, where you're going. And a medium is somebody who can talk to your loved ones that have crossed over.
And I knew that,
so,
but I'm glad to...
But not every psychic can be a medium, but every medium is psychic. So it takes a little extra something to become that medium.
Wow. And how long have you been doing this professionally?
Professionally, 7 years.
7 years now, okay. And you not only do it with a one-on-one person or reading, but you tell us about your events.
So my events are the live audience readings. And so those range anywhere from 50 people to 300, 350 people. So it depends on the venue, it depends on where I'm going. So, but the live audience readings are no different than the individual ones. It's just that more people get to see me in action and really get to see how it really works.
Okay.
So it helps with a lot of that skepticism.
Well, yeah, well, speaking of skeptics, I mean, this show is about business and about forming your entrepreneurial business and getting started. And we'll get into some of those nuts and bolts and how you've done that. But the skeptics, I mean, it's not a traditional business.
No, it's not.
It's not a retail store selling whatever, you know. And,
yeah.
I mean, I guess I could ask, how did you get into this business? But before I do, how do you deal with those haters or those doubters or skeptics out there?
You know what? I think in any business you're going to have skeptics, haters, or doubters. I suppose, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Mine, I probably have more than most.
Yeah.
But I'm not here for those people. I'm not here to help the skeptics or the haters or things like that. It's okay. I like people to have a good, healthy dose of skepticism. They should.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I have a lot of people that are scared of what I do or don't understand what I do, and people fear what they don't understand.
Right.
So that's where I get a lot of backlash, is because they like to use a religious backing because of this. And I understand both perspectives.
The highly religious people fight you on it?
Fight me on it.
Because that shouldn't replace something else,
correct.
Right? Interesting. And how do you deal with that?
I tell people I merge it together. I do both. I merge it. I wouldn't have the abilities that I have if I didn't have my faith anyway.
Okay.
And people don't understand that.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, how much of an education curve is there?
Yeah.
The people who seek you out or find you on social media, how much do you have to educate them as far as what you're going to do or what you can do?
Not too much.
Okay. Because they're seeking something.
Right, but thank goodness too, TV nowadays is a little bit more open-minded to mediums such as myself.
Right.
So it's becoming a little bit more broad, where people are at least have a little bit more of an open mind.
Okay, and so there is more of an openness. Back to the live audience things. There's 200 people there in a hotel conference room or whatever. How many people will actually interact with you, telling their story, or do they stand up and say,
"Yep,
tell me about my Uncle Harvey"?
No, not necessarily. So what I will do is I will say, I've got an uncle here who was in the Army, who would have died due to a lung cancer issue, who drank a lot of beer, and who had really bad feet.
Okay.
And one person out of that 300 will stand up and say, "That's my uncle." So
you throw it out yourself.
I say that.
Okay.
That's right.
Interesting.
I say, this is who I'm.
Because you're getting the messages,
have.
you're getting the channel or whatever.
Yep.
You've turned that channel on, and then they say, "That's my uncle."
And then that's my uncle, and then I will relay that message to that person.
You have a message because that person's in the room.
That's right.
So you don't start with people saying, "I want to talk about my whatever."
No, I direct the traffic.
That's
so
cool.
But you have 200 people sitting in the crowd, and everybody knows at least 2 people that have died. So I have almost 1,000 people up on stage. So I have help over here. So
I was going to say, you're performing. You're worried about what you're going to say next.
Oh, I don't worry.
Well, not worried, but you have to be concerned if you're entertaining a group of people. And you're hearing 1,000
Right.
channels going through your brain.
That's right. So
how do you sort all that out?
Practice.
Okay.
Practice, lots of it.
You told me a little bit about volume control and things like that.
Yep.
How does that work?
So in my head, I have like what looks like a dial. So if I'm at a 10, I'm doing a live audience reading, I'm fully tapped in, it's go time. If I'm down to a 1, I'm in business mode.
Okay.
So business or mom mode is what I like to call it. So, but that's when I can not do this stuff over here and be more concentrated and then more here and now.
So you're able to focus.
So I am able to tap on, tap off. It takes a little bit of dialing.
I bet.
But for the most part, I can handle it now. I know my dial.
Well, let's lead into how you got started in this. As a little girl, you knew something was different about you.
I knew I was different. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was always kind of that odd duck, but I was very much a tomboy. I like trees, plants, anything green. So eventually, I went into horticulture as a business.
Okay.
And then what really kind of changed it was I went through some hardship. I went to a party and I had a little bit too much to drink at a party.
No.
And there was a guy there, and he just kept talking about his dad, and I finally said something about his dad, and I said, he's right behind you. He's got rainbow suspenders, a black and white label beer, and he's smoking a cigarette. And I said, your dad was pretty much the life of the party then. He's still the life of the party now. And I turned around and all my friends went white, and they go, how did you know this? And I'm like, because he's behind him. And that's when
Can't you see him?
Yeah, that's when I realized, oh, maybe I was a little different.
You see things differently than other people.
Yep, and so the next day I was still working at the garden center.
I'm going to interrupt you. That's the point of the party where the music stops and everybody goes.
Turns. Yeah, that was me. That was me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, so the next day?
Yeah, the next day I went to the garden center, and everybody was coming to me asking me if I could read them, and I said, I don't read people. I'm a manager at the garden center here.
Oh, okay.
So
wow.
It was about 3 days later when my boss was like, you should do something about this because people are still coming in. And I'm like, well, okay.
Did they buy anything when they came in?
They didn't. And that's why he was like, this is wrong.
This is your time here is your time here, not for that.
That's right. Yeah. And I agreed. And so that's why I decided then to start reading people after I would put my kids to bed at night. And at the time I had a trailer. Oh, okay. So I would read people in my trailer. Wow. And so it quickly blew up.
They came to your residence.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It quickly blew up into a full-blown business shortly after.
This is how long ago?
7, 8 years ago.
Okay, okay, gotcha. And again, this show is for people who are launching and growing their business. Yes. Tell them, you had the kind of the discovery that you had this gift, and then you started applying it on the side. You had a real job,
a day job. That's right.
And applied it on the side. Tell us about those early days. People coming out, and then that struggle when should I quit? Should I not?
It was.
What am I doing here?
I told myself at the time, when I first started doing readings, I am a business-minded person. So the first thing I thought of, what can I do that's going to make me different? And the first thing I thought of, I'm going to do psychic parties. So I started doing these parties. And then word quickly got out after that. And I told myself, if I'm booked out 6 months for these psychic parties, then I will quit my other job. And it took 2 months.
Wow. And what was the psychic party? I mean, you had 6 or 8 people there?
Yeah, 6 to 12.
Okay.
Yep.
And they came to your home?
I would go to their home.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and they'd have the little party.
So
and
it's
then
kind of like a Mary Kay party or a Tupperware party or something?
Absolutely, that's how it started. So I don't do those anymore, unfortunately. I really enjoyed those, but it just took too much time away from my family.
Oh, yeah.
So until my kids are out of the house, I had to put a pause on that.
Right, gotcha.
But yeah, it was quickly after that, then I realized that I could make just as much money doing this as I was doing what I loved at the garden center, which was a really difficult choice because I loved both.
Yeah. Well,
so
tell
I
us
loved
about
my old
that. So you got 6 months booked out in just 2 months.
Yeah.
And at that point you said, bye-bye garden center.
I said bye garden center.
Yeah.
So, and it was difficult because I loved my job and my boss was wonderful.
How did your husband feel about that?
I wasn't dating him at the time.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
So it was pretty much my decision. I called my mom and I said, I've decided to quit my full-time salary-paying job and I'm going to do this full-time. And she's like,
Are you crazy?
For the love of God, go back to church. So that's what she said. So, but I knew here in my heart that it was right. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen? This doesn't work out. I go back back to
Go back
working
to
at
my
the
garden center.
That's right, a job that I loved.
How long did you do your work in your field, the horticulture?
From when I graduated high school all the way up till that point.
So that was
I've always
10, 12 years? Or
yeah,
what?
absolutely.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I've almost 20.
Wow,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I've been.
So this is nothing you let behind with, it's just a frivolous thought.
Right.
You put some thought into
Yes,
this.
I did. Yes, I did.
Wow, okay. So, and you got booked up, so you had some cash flow then?
Yes, I did.
And not insurance benefits or
Nope.
anything like that?
Nope.
What'd you do about all that? Our viewers often ask that question.
Honestly, what I did was got a short-term policy, and
Okay.
it was about $90 a month. It was just
Wow.
for catastrophic
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
So
But-
you need
but
something.
You had
but
some coverage.
That's right.
So you made that decision,
Yep.
well. So what was the next role in the momentum building then? You stopped the home parties?
I kept doing the home parties for a while, but I needed to get this out of my house.
Right.
So because at the time I wanted to be able to sleep like everybody else. So I decided then at that point, I actually started out going to Donna Huber at 13 Moons Acupuncture, and I rented a place out from her.
Okay.
Pretty soon I outgrew that space, went to the Legacy, and then I outgrew that space.
Now what does it mean when you say you outgrew it?
Outgrew it.
You wanted a room that's big enough to host
Right.
how many people?
Right. I wanted it for the one-on-one individual readings, but I realized for what I was paying for rent, I could get my own office.
Right.
So that's when I was kind of on the lookout for my own office. And
Okay.
so I opened up my first office in Elkhorn.
Okay.
So that's how that one started. And then after a while, people were asking about, well, do you happen to have this crystal or that crystal? And I'm like, well, yeah. So slowly then I started selling crystals and some other trinkety things out of that store.
Right.
And then it quickly evolved into a side business.
Okay.
And then when I met my husband, that's when he was getting sick of his job. He was he did trading and sales and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Sure.
So after that, he just was like, I'm done. And I said, well, you can always quit your job and start a business with me. And it took him about a minute to say, I'm in.
A whole minute.
Yeah.
Probably even less than that.
Because he
You
was
probably
just
already
done.
knew.
Yeah, he was a stockbroker, so he was done.
Yeah.
So
he works full time with in your business.
Yeah, he co-owns it with me. He manages it. He does. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about the store that he evolved into now.
So I was in Elkhorn, and I said, well, let's just start this business. He said, okay. I said, if we do it, and this was in July, I said, if we do it, I want it open by October, so that way we hit the holiday season.
Yes.
And he goes, that's in just a few months. I'm like, let's get cracking. We quickly found a place, and everything worked out. It was easy. Everybody always says it was
meant to be.
Oh, it was simple.
Yeah.
It was so easy.
It's all green lights.
It
right?
really was. So it was smooth. It was easy.
Well, there's a saying, and you probably know this better than I do, but when you're ready for a thing, it will appear.
Yep, it did.
And your husband appeared, and the store appeared, and,
easy.
all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
That's trick. So what is the store and the space now? Tell us about it. What it is now.
So the space now is about 2,000 square feet. It is located at 147th and Maple. We have a wonderful spot.
Is it a certain mall they're in there? Or
I think it's called Greyhawk.
Kind of over behind Lowe's and all that? Or?
Yeah, it's kind of in between Lowe's and Gordman's.
Okay.
And we face the Amigos drive-through.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. So
as I'm driving through about my Mexican food, I wonder
a lot of people
about
look
my
over.
future and my fate and all that.
That's right. So
you hope the drive-through line goes slowly.
That's right.
And so you have employees?
Yeah, we do. We have, I believe, 8 employees at this point.
Okay.
So 1 full-time.
Wow.
And then we're working on somebody else full-time possibly.
And
so
it's a full retail store
Yes.
and sells what mostly?
A lot of crystals. We do also have home decor, books. We have a huge library.
Oh, I bet.
So, and like spa things like that. So a lot of different items.
Well, that's cool. And
We're really big at Awakenings, making sure that we educate people.
Sure.
So that's great that they like this crystal, but what does it do for them? How do they use it?
Right.
All the information that goes with it.
what is that ultimate benefit to them?
That's right.
Yeah, well, not just something to set on the shelf.
Right.
Right. Like I said, I got to send my daughter over there. She's going to love the
Yeah.
store. So that'd be terrific. Well, what I'm so impressed with you, Kelly, is how you say. I mean, again, there's probably a lot of people out there who have the gift, gifts plural, but they don't treat it like a business. I mean, you learned as you grew. Where did you come up with this business savvy to say, this is my side hustle, but I'm going to treat it like a business, and now look where it's gone. But where did that come from, and how did you get it, and how do other people get it?
Yeah, I originally had my own, I've always been that entrepreneur, even in high school. So I did also have like a landscape business as well. So I've learned a lot through, honestly, mistakes and watching other people's mistakes too. But a lot of it, I'll tell you, I educated myself.
Sure.
The biggest thing that I think when it comes to business is you have to know your weaknesses. And if you know your weaknesses, then you can educate yourself on those weaknesses.
Okay.
So
well,
that's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it. I mean, I haven't done it, but I imagine if I went on YouTube and searched how to change a tire, I'd probably have
50.
dozens of hours, hundreds of hours of how to change a tire. So how does that apply for what kind of resources can a business owner or a psychic medium who's marketing herself, what can you learn out there? What have you learned and how?
Yeah, the biggest thing is trial and error. Okay. But constructive criticism has helped me more than anything else. Okay. From who? From everybody, all aspects, from family to really, because you know. But a lot of it I also put out there. What do you guys want to learn? I think education is huge. You have to educate your people too, but you've got to listen to what they need. So I started out with the Awakenings because people wanted crystals. Right. So, well, if they want it and there's a service for it, I'm going to provide it.
You listen to your audience.
That's right. I listen to my people. I listen to my clients and my audience, and that's what's going to drive the business part of it. Right.
Right. Well, and that's it. And so, I mean, you had businesses way back when, and so you applied that to your thing. I mean, so often people, as small business owners, you know, we have a thing where we have an expertise in an area, a subject matter expertise sometimes is the buzzword, but we don't necessarily put business constructs on it. And a lot of times, what you said, mentors. I mean, how does one find good mentors? I mean, how do you pay attention? How do you listen out there?
You know, honestly, they just appear. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
They just appear, not disappear.
They will appear. Okay. So, and I love to educate and teach. That's honestly one of my passions. Okay. But I think you just have to go with who resonates with you. Okay. So if you feel like they don't know what they're talking about, or even though they may have all this advice and everything else and all these books and everything else, but if you don't resonate with them, then they're not your person to learn from.
No.
And you can't take that personal.
Yes. So. Well, and you talk about resonation. One thing we need to talk about, I think, is the clients. I mean, without them, they are paying for your service. You don't do it for free. And how do you attract clients? That's a question the viewers always have. I want to do this business, but I don't know how to get customers. I mean, yours is different.
It is different.
You know, it's a whole different level.
Yeah, it is different.
Things, but how do you attract customers and maybe work into the whole thing, your rock star tour as well?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, number one, you have to be authentic. I think that people see fake right off the bat. Right. So you got to be authentic. But number two, you cannot bury your head in the sand when it comes to social media. You can't. Okay. Social media drives probably 80% of my business.
Is that right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Wait. Social media drives 80% of her business.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty key. I want to really emphasize to our audience, because that's it. I mean, how do you use social media?
So I post a daily reading every day on basically how the day is going to be.
On what tool?
Energetic wise. So on my psychic medium page.
Oh, on your own website?
On my own. It's on my own social media page.
Which one?
Facebook.
Okay, that's where I'm going.
Yep.
Facebook, not LinkedIn, not Twitter, not.
So
Instagram.
I do Twitter, I do LinkedIn, but right now the main ones for me are Instagram and Facebook, which you can link those together.
Yeah, they're in the same family, you bet. Yep. Well, so that really has helped expand your business.
Absolutely.
And then tell us the result of that. Well, you are a rock star. You're on tour.
Yes, so I have a tour for my live audience readings, and again, I'm the one putting those on. I don't have a sponsor. I don't have anybody else helping me with this.
That's fantastic.
So you learn how to advertise and market yourself. Probably a good dozen.
Wow.
So at this
point. You
point,
go every year to the same cities?
So same cities every year.
And have 200 or 300 people at a reading?
Yep, absolutely. And I do about an 8-hour radius, because drive time, it's I could probably fly to other places, but right now, the Midwest is where it's at. Yeah. So that's where I want to be.
That's where you are, and that's where it went. Well, that's a fantastic lesson and inspiration for me, inspiration for you, I hope, because Kelli just got after that and made that happen. Our own very own rock star in the psychic medium front right here out of Omaha, Nebraska, based on all that social media and having the gifts. Well, as we consider wrapping up here, let me know, or let us all know, Kelli, you know, what speed bumps did you hit up along the way, and what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs who want to market themselves?
My biggest speed bump was the social media. Honestly, it really was. And I knew that in order for me to be different, I had to get myself out there on social media. I don't like doing videos. That's not my cup of tea, but that's what my clientele needs.
Well,
and so that's
they
why
can get to you that way.
That's right. And so that's why I've been doing more social media marketing, more videos, more blogs, things like that, just information.
I'm all about videos, helping people
absolutely.
get that, you know, like we talked about, people want to know, like, and trust you.
That's
well,
right.
if they see a psychic medium and a written page and maybe a photograph, well, that's pretty old school for these days and age. That's why I like doing TV and social media with people.
Absolutely.
And that's why you are, Matt, knocking it out of the park as well. Last advice for entrepreneurs out there: what should they do to get off the dime to grow to the next level? We didn't even get into, real briefly, we didn't even get into your courses, your tutorials, all the stuff that you're doing. Give us a 30-second wrap on that.
So I'm also create a program called Enlightenment Academy, which helps the next generation of psychic mediums and healers and anybody that might be more metaphysically inclined. Not only how to be able to help themselves, but help other people and do it the right way, and then turn it into a business. So, and I think a lot of people in my field don't turn it into a business.
No, they don't. And those are online tools that are webinars or live?
Some are webinars, and the Enlightenment Academy is in person.
And it's at your store upstairs, and you do that in person. People can find out about that on course on the website, which we'll post as well. Well, Kelli, it's been a pleasure. I'm inspired, I'm enlightened. It's really a treat to have you here, and so learn from Kelli, learn from what she has done as far as all the tools she's learned, all the self-marketing she's done in just 7 or 8 years. She's become a rock star, and that's all great stuff. So what can you do along those lines? We'll put Kelli's information on the website and et cetera, how to reach her. In the meantime, until next week, I want you to go on out there and grow something. Thanks again, Kelli.
All right, thank you.